Let's play while sitting at home. We invite you to participate in the traveling game Qazaq Quest and test your knowledge about your favorite city, learn new facts, be surprised, and have a laugh. 12 cities of Kazakhstan and celebrities who agreed to complete the quest. Brave and smart travelers, how much patience, strength, and knowledge they need to stay in the game. 1 city, 2 chances for a clue. 3 tasks, 4 blitz questions, and 5 most beautiful places in each city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go! In the previous episode, I passed the quest in Pavlodar. It was informative, exciting, and in some places, even delicious. Thanks to the quest, now I know how many bulbs illuminate the Moscow-Jusip Mosque and under which thermometer Pavlodar residents like to have dates. Also, I visited the church, took a ride on the ship, and saw a real mine with my own eyes. The quest in Pavlodar was not easy. I even had to use a hint. But in the end, I still won. Let's see what's waiting for me today. Today we will visit a city named after 7 Buddhist temples or 7 chambers. A myriad of outstanding Kazakh personalities were born in these parts, but at the same time this land is considered an ecological disaster zone. In general, it will be a cool quest. Welcome us, Semey. Semey is a city of contrasts, which is popularly called Abayili, or Abai's land. On the other hand, it is an important transport hub on the map of Kazakhstan, and also a large industrial center where coal is mined, fur coats are sewn from natural fur, and the food industry is developing. On the other hand, it is a city of historical significance, and there at every step there are monuments of architecture and history. Semey is also called the cultural capital of Kazakhstan, and today you will understand why even Almaty cannot withstand such competition. Just imagine, Abay Kunanbayli, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Mukhtar Oazov, Shalkan Valikhanov, Shakarim Kudaiberdiuli walked the streets of this city. Also such prominent people as boxer Vladimir Klitschko, football player Samat Smakov, singers Rosa Rymbayeva and Bibigul Tuliganova, and many others were born here. A distinctive feature of Semey from other cities is a dense concentration of historical sites and personalities in a small area. The city has 4 large museums, 2 theaters, a large library, and many architectural monuments. And this despite the fact that the city's population is only 360,000 people. The longest street of Semey is named after the great Kazakh thinker Abay Kunanbayli, who was born near these places. The city played an important role in his life and his work. And now, a street, a museum, a theater, a library, a square, a park, and many other public places bear Abay's name. The Irtis River crosses through Semey. It divides the city into old and new. All historical sites are located on the right bank in the old town. And if you want to visit Semey, you can get here from any city in Kazakhstan by plane, train, or car. For example, traveling by car from Nur-Sultan through Pavlodar along an excellent road will take 7 to 9 hours. Dear friends, so here I am. I asked a person who was born and raised here and who knows the city like the back of his hand, Aidyn Zhasybai, to help me with the quest. Hello. Hello and welcome. I am delighted with this meeting. Aidyn Zhasybai, a native of Semey and concurrently the chief specialist of the Department of Physical Culture and Sports in the city governor's office. Due to his work, he is engaged in the development of tourism, and in his heart he is fond of the history of his small homeland. He admits that he loves Semey for its rich historical heritage that the city residents of different eras have managed to preserve. This is a really interesting city. Maybe we should immediately go to the Semey test site so that you glow with impressions. To the test site? I was kidding. Don't scare me like that, Aidyn. I'll listen to the first task. Of course. So, Qazaq Quest, I'm listening to the first task.
Listen carefully to task number 1. Find the most famous Semey fast food which is associated with mechanical engineering. The task has been issued.
What? Semey fast food? And what does mechanical engineering has to do with that? Or do you fill cars with burgers? Or maybe that's the name of your gasoline brand? Whatever it is, I feel that I can't solve it alone. Marjan, I hope you understand what this is all about. Of course I understand. Then let's go. Let's go. It is the largest city in Kazakhstan despite not being a regional center or a city of Republican significance. The name of Semipalatnaya fortress and then the city of Semipalatinsk comes from the 7 Buddhist Kalmyk temples or chambers that existed nearby. As early as the 17th century, Russian researchers described the chambers as structures built in the Bukhara style. Also, these places are mentioned in the chronicles under the name stone mosques. In 1718, by the decree of Peter the Great, the Semipalatnaya fortress was founded as a border and military base, which became an important trading point between Russia and Turkestan, and later between Russia, Central Asia, and Western China. Jungar Kalmyks, people of Kolkand, Bukhara, and Tashkent came here to buy or sell. Therefore, from 1728, a customs service was established to control trade operations, which was very rare for those times. Currently, the location of the Semipalatnaya fortress is well known. Its remains are located 10 kilometers from Semey and they're called the Old Fortress. And today it is a popular resting place for the residents. In the 19th century, Semey was a place of political exile, but paradoxically, it was a great blessing for the city. For example, on the initiative of the exiled Yevgeny Mikhailis, the Semipalatinsk branch of the Imperial Russian Geographical Society was founded here. Its main task was to help local residents explore the culture and authenticity of their native land. Thanks to this, the history of Semey has been preserved well. It is interesting that from 1917 to 1920, the left bank part of the city, which at that time was called Zarechная Sloboda, was the first capital of the national territorial autonomy Alash Orda and was recorded in official documents as the city of Alash. When the autonomy ceased to exist, the toponym Alash fell into oblivion after it. In the middle of the 20th century, nuclear weapons were tested for the first time at the Semipalatinsk nuclear test site. This page, one of the saddest in the history of this place, was closed in 1991. And in 2007, the city was renamed from Semipalatinsk to Semey, so that there would be no associations with the test site. Now the toponym is associated with the Semey Tau Ridge located nearby. We come to the oldest school in the city, number 1. It was formed in 1895 as the first women's primary school. It was built in the Gothic style by the captive Austrians. The school is named after the Russian writer Nikolai Chernyshevsky. Yes, he wrote the novel What Is to Be Done. But I wanted to show you not the school, but the most famous poplar of Semey. It was planted by the graduates of the city on June the 21st, 1941, before going to war. They say that none of them came back. At the entrance, there is a memorial plaque in memory of Leonid Afanasyev on the wall. He's also a graduate of the school. During the World War II, he commanded an assault aviation squadron, flew 116 combat missions. And after the war, he became a composer and even received the USSR State Prize. To make sure you understand who we're talking about, this was Leonid Afanasyev who wrote the song I Look Into the Blue Lakes from the television series Shadows Disappear at Noon.
Гляжу в озера синие, в полях ромашки рву, зову тебя, Россию, единственной зову.
Among the graduates of the school are also the hero of the Soviet Union, Vladimir Zasядko, Doctor of Medical Sciences, Professor Apollo Dobrovolsky, the honored art worker of Russia Alexei Malyshev, writer Nikolai Shevchenko, who wrote the novel The Country of Nomads. And this building is Mukhtar Awazov Pedagogical College. He studied here. At the same time, it was Semipalatinsk Teachers Seminary, considered as one of the first pedagogical schools in our country. Interesting. Semipalatinsk Teachers Seminary was opened on July 3, 1903. 24 students from nearby counties were accepted to study. It is surprising, but in different years, the following people studied within its walls. Writer Mukhtar Awazov, scientist, archaeologist Alkay Margulan, geologist Qazaq Satbayev, founder of the drama and novel in the Qazaq language Jibek Aymautov, film director Shaken Aymanov, and other prominent representatives of the Qazaq intellectual and cultural elite. I would go in and sit at the desk. It seems to me that there are some special vibrations in this place. How else to explain that so many outstanding figures of our country studied here? I'll go at least just to touch the building to absorb the spirit of these walls. I have something else that will definitely surprise you. I put some package in your bag. May I take it? Sure, you put it there. These are our local Malinovka tomatoes. Wow! They are too big for tomatoes. It's a special sort. Tomatoes Malinovka are legendary tomatoes bred in Semey at the end of the 19th century. The variety is known in Russia and Europe. These tomatoes are very large. On average, the weight varies from 250 grams to half a kilogram. The fruits are sweet, fleshy, with few seeds. Their dense skin and a small amount of water make them easy to transport over long distances. Recommended for outdoor cultivation in warm climates. Dear viewers, please note, we are on the highest bridge of the CIS. From here you can see the entire Semey. And these panoramas are so beautiful that I'm simply speechless. Barujan, what a beautiful bridge you have. It's like I'm in Los Angeles, but actually I'm in Semey. The earthquake-resistant suspension bridge across the Irtis River is the only one of its kind, and there are only 17 of them in the world. Its total length is 1 kilometer 86 meters. The bridge has a car and a pedestrian zone. This object is especially beautiful at night when it is backlit with bright illuminations. I think we found the place, an automobile repair plant. Well, at least some connections with machines. But what does fast food have to do with it? Come on, I'll show you something. This is a legendary place. The most famous and most delicious Semey donuts with liver are served here. Barujan, it's delicious. I can eat more and more. You are more than welcome. Thanks. So donuts are the famous Semey fast food, right? Yes. Semey liver donuts are a legendary street dish, and attention, with almost a century of history. They say donuts came to the people, that is, to the street, from the factory canteen, and over time, they became a real gastronomic code for the residents of the city and its guests. If you are in the area of an automobile repair plant, do not pass by.
Congratulations, though not right away, but your first task has been solved.
And here is the second task.
Attention please, the second task. Find the place where all seasons meet. Winter, spring, summer and autumn. The task has been issued.
All seasons in one place. They only meet in a fairy tale. Maybe it's pizza 4 seasons. No, that would be too easy. Barujan, then let's go for a walk around the city. Maybe I'll find something. Let's go. I decided to walk along the busiest street in the city where many historical buildings are located. One of them is the local history museum. Perhaps this is where the 4 seasons meet. Hello. Hello. Welcome to our regional museum of history and local lore in Semey. How should I address you? I am Aidyn Zhasybai, director of the Regional Museum of History and Local Lore. I have been working here for about 2 years, and I can say that we have collected the entire history and culture of our region. I'm ready to answer any of your questions. The Regional History and Local Lore Museum is one of the oldest museums in Kazakhstan. It was created in 1883 on the initiative of political exiles. In particular, Yevgeny Mikhailis, he stood at its origin. The great poet Abai, the philosopher and thinker Shakarim, as well as the world-famous writer Mukhtar Awazov contributed to the activities of the museum at different times. Throughout its history, the museum has moved 8 times. From 1978 to the present, it is located in the building of the former house of the General Governor. In fact, this is a building with a long history. It was built in 1850. Its area is 700 square meters. The building houses 8 main halls as well as 15 thematic exhibitions. The fund of the museum contains over 120,000 exhibits. 400 of them are present to visitors, including exhibits that have no analogs. You won't see anything like this anywhere else. For example, these wooden chests trimmed with bones, and also scoops from argali horns. Our ancestors made them from this special material because insects do not sit on it. Due to this, it was considered hygienic.
Ожау дейміз. Біздің ата-бабаларымыз мынау арқар мүйізінен жасалған ожаудың ерекшелігі бұндай ыдыстарға шыбын-шіркей қонбайды екен. Бұның да сонда гигиеналық сонда бір ерекшеліктері бар.
The museum's collection contains more than 108,000 storage units in the form of collections of archaeology, paleontology, ethnography, and numismatics. There are rich archives of photographic documents, natural history, and historical household items, as well as manuscripts, reviews of Semey region of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, commemorative books, address calendars, atlases and maps, as well as the notes of the Semipalatinsk branch of the Russian Geographical Society.
Біз осы музейдің алғашқы музейдің іргетасын қалаушыларды бастап айтқан кезде
We must certainly talk about the founders of this museum, Mikhailis, Dolgopolov, and Abai. The poet also took an active part in the creation of the museum and donated many valuable items, as well as his student Shakarin and his son Turagul. He also made a huge contribution to the development of the museum. Then there was Mukhtar Awazov. Before him, residents of Alashorda took an active part in the work of the museum. Ali Khan organized a congress of Alashorda members here. Therefore, this building has witnessed various historical events. Thank you. Personally, I received a lot of information. Thank you so much. Good luck with your work. Hello. Hello. Welcome to our museum. It is very beautiful. And my name is Aidyn Zhasybai. I'm taking part in the game Qazaq Quest on the Qazaq TV channel. I'm looking for a place where the 4 seasons meet. Can you help me? I will try. East Kazakhstan Regional Nevzorov's Museum of Fine Arts. Founded in 1985, today it has one of the largest collections of art treasures in Kazakhstan. The museum is located in a complex of buildings, the oldest of which was built in the 1870s by the merchant of the First Guild, Fyodor Stepanov. Here is what I wanted to ask. Do all these paintings belong to the same family? Today we have more than 5,000 exhibits in our storerooms. More than 500 of them are works of Russian, Soviet and foreign art. The collection has been accumulated since the middle of the 19th century. This is partly the inheritance of Joly Nevzorov's father and grandfather, and partly his own collection. For many years, Joly Nevzorov studied and systematized his collection and then transferred all the collected information to the museum. It helped a lot in research work. In 1991, the museum was named after the Nevzorovs. And in 1995, Joly Nevzorov was awarded the Parasat Order for his great contribution to the development of the culture of Kazakhstan. How many rooms are there? 22 rooms, which have such departments as Western Europe, Russian art, fine art of Kazakhstan, and several halls with temporary exhibitions. For example, we organized individual exhibitions of Semey artists, group exhibitions, as well as collect works of Almaty artists. There are also exhibitions of Russian artists. Great! At the Nevzorov's Museum of Fine Arts, they could not help me. And I'm already beginning to doubt that I can solve this task at all. It seems like it's time to use the hint.
Let the suffering one hear the words of the sage, so that the rays of light warm up the soul. The heart is a mirror, it's smarter than the mind, but no one is in a hurry to listen to it.
It's poetry, so I'm looking for a place associated with a person, a writer, or a poet. I will not waste time. I will ask for help from local residents. Hello, may I ask you a question? Hello, sure. Tell me, is there a house of a famous person, a historical person nearby? Yes, there is Fyodor Dostoevsky Museum nearby. It is located near the central square. Thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Fyodor Dostoevsky Literary and Memorial Museum opened in 1971 to mark the 150th anniversary of the writer's birth, the only museum operating outside of his homeland. It consists of two buildings. The first is the house where Fyodor Mikhailovich lived during his service in Semey. And the second, a new two-story one, was built in the form of a half-open book. Hello, may I come in? Yes, sure. I'm looking for a place in your city where all the seasons meet. Maybe you have it. I think you will find what you were looking for in this museum. Our museum started from this house. It housed a library. And Zinaida Furtseva was in charge of it. She studied the life and work of Fyodor Dostoevsky, collected exhibits, and then offered to open his museum here. She was one of the first. Yes, she was. The museum library has about 14,000 items. Dostoevsky's autographs, rare lifetime editions of the writers and his contemporaries' works. A large collection of books with autographs are kept here as well. Did Fyodor Dostoevsky live in this house? Which of his rooms are we in now?
Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky негізінде осы семейге 1854 жылы келген.
Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky came to Semey from Omsk in 1854. More precisely, he served exile here after Omsk and was arrested for almost 10 years. During 4 of them, he was in exile in Omsk. The rest of the years he spent here in Semey. At the time, the city was called Semipalatinsk. At the time? Yes, he arrived in the city in 1854. As a soldier, he lived in the barracks. Later, he was allowed to live in a free settlement and he rented this house. In Semey, on the banks of the Irtis River, he rented 3 different houses. He moved in here in 1857, and in 1859, he left this house for Russia. Thus, he lived in this house for 2.5 years.
жылы міне осы үйден Ресейге аттап кетеді. Негізінде осы үйде 2,5 жылдай тұрады.
The house has 4 rooms. One of them was occupied by the writer. On the first floor, there is a library, and on the second, there is a modest exhibition that recreates the interior of Fyodor Mikhailovich's apartment and tells about his life and work. Dostoevsky worked in this room. While living in Semey, he wrote 2 books. These are Stepanchikova Village and Its Inhabitants and Uncle's Dream. It is safe to say that the prototypes of the main characters in these works were our fellow countrymen, the people of Semey. Here you can see items from the 19th century that were collected in Semey. Of course, it cannot be argued that all these things were in personal use by Dostoevsky, but the fact that there are witnesses of that era is a fact. The residents of our city donated them. We learned a lot about Dostoevsky, but this is not the place I was looking for. Listen, maybe you recognize this poem?
Let the suffering one hear the words of the sage, so that the rays of light warm up the soul. The heart is a mirror. It's smarter than the mind, but no one is in a hurry to listen to it.
You better go to Abai Museum. Excellent. Thank you, Sultanat, for your help. Have a nice day. Good luck. Thank you. Abai Kunanbayuli is a cult figure in Kazakh culture. Thinker, philosopher, poet, founder of Kazakh written literature, and its first classic. Abai, without exaggeration, is everything for us: the mind, the honor, and the conscience of the nation. But Semey people have even more special attitude towards him. The fact is that Semey is practically the small homeland of the poet and educator. 175 years ago, he was born in the Jibek tract, 180 kilometers from Semey. Being from a noble family, he often visited the city. He studied here in a madrasa, visited the public library, met with friends, and lived in merchant houses. Many of the buildings that Abai visited during his lifetime have been preserved to this day. For example, this house is now a commercial bank, and once there was a fund of the first public library in Kazakhstan named after Nikolai Gogol. And along with the exiled Russian revolutionaries, Abai Kunanbayuli was an active reader of it. Now the library is located at a different address and bears the name of the thinker himself. The mosque madrasa of Ahmet Riza, in which Abai studied, also exists to this day, although the building has not been preserved in its original form. The wooden building was restored according to archival materials. A century and a half ago, classes and services were held here, and today, excursions are held telling about the years of study of the poet. Also here you can see ancient books and manuscripts in Arabic, Farsi, Chagatai, Turkish, and Tatar languages. Ahmet Riza Madrasa is a part of Aidyn Zhasybai Boreli State Museum Reserve. It was opened in 1940 and became the first literary museum in the history of Kazakhstan. Qazaq Quest brought us here. Hello, welcome to Aidyn Museum. Welcome. Congratulations on the 175th anniversary of the birth of Aidyn. The museum was created at the suggestion of Mukhtar Awazov. He deeply studied Aidyn's legacy and even wrote a monumental novel about the great thinker and poet. It's curious that the first exposition of the museum was located in the house of Aniyar Moldabayev. He was a contemporary and disciple of the enlightener. Aidyn often visited his house, and for sure he couldn't even imagine that after a while these walls would become a place of memory and a real tourist pilgrimage. Now this building of the last quarter of the 19th century is also part of the museum complex.
Одан кейінгі жылдары 67 жылдары біздің экспозициямыз осы роман.
In 1967, our museum moved to the house of the merchant Yershov. And in 1995, on the eve of the 150th anniversary of the poet's birth, a completely new domed building was built and the exposition was significantly expanded. The number of halls has increased to 12. Halls that tell in detail about the work and social life of Aidyn were added. At this time, on the occasion of its 175th anniversary, our exposition has been renewed again. And work in the museum is still ongoing. We welcome visitors in 3 sections. Now, for example, we are in the main museum.
Көрермендерді 3 бөлімнен қабылдайтын болады. Оның бірі бүгінгі күнде осы тұрған бас музей.
Today, a unique multimedia exposition is located in the main building of the museum. This year, on the eve of the 175th anniversary of Aidyn, a grand reconstruction took place here. As a result, not only the facade and walls were renovated here, but also the existing funds were extensively reworked. Now it is a museum that meets the highest standards of UNESCO. Tell me, do you have a place where 4 seasons meet? Yes, we do. Then I guessed it right. Yes. Now the museum has about 10 large halls. One of them, dedicated to Aidyn's poetry, is called The Seasons. It was here that the Qazaq quest led me. It is here in Semey that winter, spring, summer and autumn meet in one place. I got it right. Absolutely. Hooray! I am so happy to have solved this task. Everything is clear with the events of bygone days in the history of the city. They are remembered and carefully preserved in the people's memory. But with no less respect and trepidation, Semey people also treat the events of the last century. For example, in memory of the heroes and victims of the World War II, the Victory Memorial was opened in Semey. And this is a large architectural complex, which on Victory Day becomes the center for celebrations. The complex includes a monument to the soldier liberator, an obelisk in the form of a messenger of victory galloping on a horse, symbolic boughs of tears of mothers, wives and children, and of course the eternal flame. Another place of memory is the monument Stronger Than Death. It was installed in memory of the victims of nuclear tests at the Semey nuclear test site. It is a stele 25 meters high, which is cast from precast monolithic reinforced concrete, faced with polished granite blocks and slabs of black semi-granite gabbro. The silhouette of the atomic mushroom is engraved on the monument. Below there is a white marble sculpture of a mother who covers her child with her body. This memorial is called Stronger Than Death. It is located on the island of Jibek, popularly known as Colonel. Architect Shota Walikana. The memorial was opened in 2001. I must say that this monument to the victims of nuclear tests leaves a strong impression, like many historical sites in this city. There is a city museum, Tatar settlement in Semey. The border of the Tatar neighborhood is clearly visible on the map, but practically invisible on the ground, just 1 or 2 blocks from the central square along Aidyn Street. There are 3 well-preserved mosques of the 19th century which are distinguished by their appearance. 1 minaret, the oldest, 2 minaret, and wooden. Typical buildings in Tatar neighborhood. Huts and high fences go in one row, forming single facades along straight streets. In some places, one can come across stone oriental shops of Tatar merchants. Also, we learned from locals that somewhere here Shokan Valikanov stayed for one day. And this is another amazing attraction that draws the curious glances of tourists from different countries and even local residents. This miracle is called the fairy tale house or the gingerbread house of the Glazkovs family. The house is decorated with wooden figurines painted in bright colors. Finding it by accident is not so easy. The house is hidden in one of the city's districts among the winding streets. This private house has been decorated by its owner, Alexander Glazkov, for many decades. After his death, the figurines were looked after by his wife, and when she was gone, the relatives promised to keep the house in its original state. They decorate the figures every year to keep the house as miraculous as it is. Well, friends, I've done 2 rounds already, and although my tasks were not easy and I used the tips and help of passers-by, I am sure that I can win this game. Now I need to find out the next task. I hope you don't mind. Of course not. Qazaq Quest, what is my next task?
Hello. Congratulations. You've passed to the 3rd task. There is very little time left before the final. You need to find a tree that all lovers adore. They perform a ceremony under its crown, characteristic only for Semey. It is located in a unique relict forest. Good luck. The task has been issued.
Relic forest? For the first time in the entire game, a more or less clear direction. So the forest and the lovers. Barujan, do you know anything about the relic forest? Of course I know. Come on, I'll show you where it is. Let's go now. Yes, now. Let's go. We arrived at the territory of the State Forest Natural Reserve, Semey Ormani. What kind of forest is this, Barujan? Why is it so unique? The relic forest is a natural oasis. It is one of the valuable forests. Great, then let's start our journey. Come on, let's start. The uniqueness and value of Semey Ormani is that it is a pine forest strip. Scientists believe that the pine forest strips remained after the Ice Age. Then the territory between the Ob and the Irtis rivers was surrounded by huge glaciers, Northern and Altai. Pine began to grow later on the sands between the glaciers, more precisely, big pine forests. However, in this forest, it is interesting to see not only rare pines. Here, Barujan, I got some water. Water never freezes in this well. Throughout the year, its temperature is plus 4 degrees Celsius. And it is considered healing. People of different faiths come to this spring and collect water for themselves. How interesting! Thank you, Barujan. There are a million pines here. Among them, will I be able to find the lover's tree? Barujan, can you tell me already? Sure, let me take you to this tree. We need to go that way. That way? Aidyn, I think you have been looking for this tree. Yes, yes, this is it. Dear viewers, look, I found this tree. Barujan, are lovers usually photographed by this tree? Yes, exactly. Next time, I will certainly come to you with my beloved and take a picture here. I think I have solved the task. Let's check it out. The lover's tree is in Semey Ormani State Forest Nature Reserve.
The task was completed. Congratulations! You have completed the quest.
I did it! Congratulations! Thank you, Bauerjan. This is all thanks to you. Now you can congratulate me. But unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye to you. Thank you for all your help. Good luck. Happiness, prosperity to you and your family. Bye. Goodbye. And have a good trip. See you soon.